The cars here and the buildings behind me, they're privately owned. It's easy to think that the right to private property is a modern Western innovation designed by greedy elites to monopolize everything that's valuable. And then there's the questionable Marxist notion of primitive communism, that traditional groups and societies shared all resources. Ironically, this is the same excuse used by the European explorers when they drove native people from their lands in North and South America. They weren't really stealing because these native peoples had no notion of property rights. The colonists just didn't understand the concept of property rights in these societies because it didn't match the idea of property rights in their societies. But apart from exceptionally totalitarian cultures, there were always some versions of property rights. We know this because all societies banned stealing. Personal items were owned privately in almost all cultures: clothes, weapons, tools, utensils, and housing. The idea that your creations and gifts are yours was universal and could only be sidelined through force. Yes, hunters shared the meat, but this was mostly an insurance policy, and the hunter whose arrow felled the animal often got the best parts. Whereas food gathered by small game hunters and wild plant foragers was mostly considered their private property. Customary rights often governed which family could hunt and fish where. Land was rarely seen as property because it was plentiful, as long as populations were tiny and not settled. But whenever anything was rare and valuable, people started to sort out what was theirs. And that included land. So, for example, African bushmen did not define rights to land in general, but they did to land with watering holes. Central Asian clans did not define land rights to summer pasture, but when they moved the cattle to scarce winter pastures, they defined rights and boundaries between them. In other words, property rights are not a modern legal construct. These rights were historically there, but changed according to context. And the great change came with agriculture, since farming is only profitable months or even years after the investment. People wanted to hold on to land longer to protect their work and projects. The major change in modern liberal society is that private property rights have been deepened to include, for example, the freedom to divide and sell property regardless of what the collective or the relatives think. This gives it a legal guarantee to make sure that an individual's property is protected against greedy elites who want to monopolize everything that's valuable. Hey, check out these other great videos from Free to Choose Network. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get updated on episodes of New and Improved with me, Johan Norberg.